Okay, here we go with another short video of a couple of the bikes that I'm going to be offering for sale. This is a, believe it or not, a 1961 or 62 Super Rocket. And it's been modified to this ugly old chopper many years ago. It was actually quite heavily used. Had quite a few miles on it. But the frame is completely untouched. The engine is still all intact, turns over with good compression, so there's a potential there for restoring this bike back to original. Frame and engine, all original wheels. Just going to get the correct parts back in order for it, and have another late model Super Rocket. That's a 1968 A50 Royal Star in need of restoration. And a 67 Royal Star. This was actually a riding bike, been sitting up for a few years now, but actually ran well. This bike is a 1965 Lightning Rocket with many non-original parts. The engine is a modified engine. It's got the right side bearing conversion done on it. Oiling through the end of the crank. It has Johnson Racing cam, 10.5 to 1 pistons. It's a kind of nicely modified engine, converted to a single carb with a good bottom end. A very good performing bike. I actually have a green and silver tank for it that matches the wheels, and we're going to change that tank out. And another 1968 Royal Star. This engine has been completely gone through, built from the bare crank up, sludge trap cleaned, down to the bare frame. Nice bike, ready to kick over and go. And then we have here this 1970 Thunderbolt, which I believe is going to be spoken for. I'll know more this weekend, but I think the bike is already pre-sold. And over here, hard to see, but there's this large pile of BSA engines and a few Triumph engines here in the front, and many lower ends of all different years and models. And as you can see over there, a large pile of engine cases. I have boxes full of crankshafts, many parts. This is a 1970 Royal Star, 1970 500 Royal Star, which again needs major restoration, but turns over freely with good compression and fully restorable bike. This is a 1966 West Coast Hornet. It's one of the rarer bikes shipped to the West Coast distributor. Many of these bikes were put right into flat track racing and ran at Ascot Speedway and the West Coast dirt tracks. And it's got, we're missing the West Coast oil tank, but it has, which is a larger capacity oil tank, but it has most all the other attributes of a West Coast Hornet. And here we have the 1963 Super Rocket. Engine is completely gone through, completely built, starts right up and runs beautifully. Probably 80 to 85% complete. I have all the parts for it, and just needs to be finished up. Another project which was stalled out, but it'll make a very nice bike for somebody. And then back here, a pile of wheels and tires, engines. Then most all of these frames on this rack have matching engines to go with them. The ones on the bottom all have the bottom ends of the engine sitting in them. So there are many different years and models of A65s and A50s, but all going to be buildable bikes. Then this bike here with the yellow is one of the rarest of rare BSAs. It's actually a 1953 plunger frame Super Flash. And as there were many thousands of golden flashes built, I believe there were only about 220 Super Flashes. And this bike was customized very early in its life. I have all the engine parts for it. I do have wheels and a front end. It's an iron head bike and plunger frame. So they were actually built to be competition bikes, but never really saw much competition, as the following year the swinging arm bikes and alloy heads came out. So many of them were stalled out at the dealers, and I read up about them, and in many cases the dealers opted to customize the bikes and sell them as custom bobbers right off their floors. And this bike came from South Dakota, and I believe it was one of those bikes that was dealer customized. So that's about it for what we have available here. Said again, many engines. I think I have a total of about 50 A65 and A50 engines. And then back in here, there are many A10 engines and A10 parts. And I'll be pulling all this stuff out to get a better view of it.